Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Women Have Needs Too. Women have needs too. Right now, I need to not disqualify myself. And we are here today, all the way from Australia, with Mirelle Toulekima. And we are so excited to have you today, Mirelle. She is a global entrepreneur and she has founded an organization called the STEM Queens. And we cannot wait to hear all about the STEM Queens. And we're going to talk about how women have a habit of disqualifying themselves for future advancement, for new opportunities. And I am so interested in speaking with you and learning what you are doing globally to help women and young women.
Thank you so much, Linda, for having me today on your platform. I'm just so excited because, talking about women empowerment, especially women that are working in male-dominated environment, is it's really close to my heart. And I've been, doing a lot of championing, advocating, and I can even say activism, to make sure women understand the power that they have and that they don't disqualify themselves. So my name is Mirelle Toulekima. I'm tuning in from Perth, Australia. So it's morning time for me. And I'm starting the day really refreshed, and I'm really excited to start the conversation today. I'm a global entrepreneur. My background is in engineering. I'm an engineer by background, a petroleum engineer. I started working in the oil and gas and energy sector 25 years ago, yes. And back then, things were quite tough, for women, and especially for women of color. So it was a very interesting journey, very challenging at the beginning. Sometimes, at some point, I really wanted to give up, but with a shift in mindset and also not disqualifying myself, I managed to grow in the industry and become an influence, a global influence that can now, use my experience to help other women to make it in the industry where we're still a minority. And so I've worked for different corporations, international corporation, local corporation here in Australia. So really, every 4 years have to change country and really enjoy the process of meeting different people, and especially understanding how women, the status of women in those different countries and how, they approach the professional environment, especially when it comes down to all those industry where male are dominant. So it has been a long journey, and 3 years ago decided to be a little bit more pushy by funding, STEM Queen. So STEM Queen, we started in Uganda because that's where I could find somebody who had also the same, the same vision, a young lady, a pilot, also doing global outreach, more looking at, the young girls side of things. And then I was more, bringing the international perspective, and she was bringing the African perspective. So we've started this journey, and we just realized that it's something that is necessary, because we are right now in the middle of what we call the fourth industrial revolution, where STEM is everywhere. STEM is in everything that you use in your life. Obviously in Africa, maybe a bit less, but it's coming strong. So whatever you eat, there's a STEM aspect to it, because the agriculture is not heavily STEMmed. The health sector is STEMmed, and the communication is STEM, and we've seen it with the pandemic. It has been really, really present with us to have, the connection, to have the internet, to communicate digitally, and really use this, those different platforms to be able to continue to have a life and continue to communicate with our loved ones or with our colleagues. So it's been a great journey. So what do we do with STEM Queens? With STEM Queens, we create awareness about STEM and what are the opportunities that are available. And we're trying to spot the opportunity locally, because what's going on is that when you talk about STEM, people think, it's something that, that exists and it's there. It's not for us, especially for women. But yet there are things that we use where we use the STEM aspect. I mean, for example, the soap that we use to every day, there's a STEM aspect, so we try to teach, girls and women, open opportunity for women to understand where this STEM aspect is, so they can live with it and understand that STEM is part of our life. We don't have to be afraid of it. So we will be part of it, and we will participate. And it gives them also more option, because then they can also, have access to business opportunity, have access to, jobs, because the jobs that have really the STEM aspect, the strong STEM aspect, are also those jobs that are well paid. And for women, especially, the flexibility that it offers to be able to use, everything that is digital. They can work online and, have customers far from where they are located. It can be, if they are in a regional area, if they can have access to at least a computer a few hours a day, they can service anybody that is in the city, or even, on the other part of the world. So really pushing and creating the awareness, and at the same time, making sure, especially as part of Africa is concerned, because we're trying to expand in Africa, make sure we connect, especially the girls that are ready to go to university, connect them with the right organization, universities and institutions across the continent, and also overseas as well, so they can really get the right education, the right formation, development, and really start to enjoy and push for it, because we need more women. We definitely need more women in those industry.
Absolutely. Well, I'm telling you what, you are doing a beautiful thing with this organization. And going back to what you were saying about 25 years ago, getting into the industry, you're not only a woman of color, but there were probably not many females across the board in engineering at that time. Am I right? Especially in the field of oil, right? That's where you were.
Mm-hmm. That's where I was. And I was so lucky, because I mean, in a way, when you look at the context, first of all, I went into this industry, and I always tell people, it was not love at first sight. I went into this industry because I had to. Just, I was, that was my last year of bachelor. My dad, who was the paying for my studies, because I was studying abroad in France, died. So no financial support, nothing. So I basically I'm originally from Gabon in West Africa. So I had to just stop, finish the bachelor. It was like a month or two before, I graduated, and then just go and find a job everywhere where I could, because, my family could not afford, with that gone. My mom could not afford actually to continue to pay for my study. We had other siblings, and my elder siblings, I mean, I didn't want to put all the all the charge of paying for my study on them. So my only option was to look for a job, and the only industry that was actually recruiting back then was the oil and gas industry. And because they didn't have petroleum engineer per se, they were looking for people who've actually studied something related to science. Really? And that's how I got into the industry, got recruited. And then another hurdle The industry was all in English. So yes, I did a little bit of English at, at school, but it was not to that level. So I had to learn the language, and then you arrive in your own country, and then you work with people who don't look like you, who don't
Right.
look like people who are in the country. So there's another level of, challenge. And so when I went into it, I think I disqualified myself straight away as, okay, I'm almost the only woman, because luckily enough, my boss was actually an American lady. So I didn't capitalize on that at the beginning. I was just saying, okay, I'm the only Black woman, and then all the white men, and then, I'm not going to make it. And then Dad just passed away. So I was really a victim. I went into it as a victim, and as somebody who just needed the money. And that was it, until, I had a shift, and thanks to this lady, because she was the only lady, as middle management. And she had a different view of things, because coming from America, and she's been already in the industry for quite some time. So she basically, opened my eyes, and told me that, I just have to learn, take it one step at a time. And at the same time, I was shifting as well, because I just realized that, being a victim didn't bring me anywhere. Yes, I've basically solved the money problem, but, being miserable and not having, any ambition will not help me
No.
in this
And
industry.
and let's just clarify, you made yourself the victim. Nobody else made you the victim. Is that
No,
right?
nobody else made me a
You
victim.
made yourself the victim. And this woman, it sounds like, believed in you more than you believed in yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And there was also a male supervisor who believed in me as well, and was ready to just say, okay, let's sit back. I can take, half an hour or 1 hour per week and sit down with you. But my mindset was not right. My mindset was not right.
So where was the switch? Where was the switch in your mindset?
The switch was, after a while of, I took, some time off, and then started to really think, about where I wanted to be, what I wanted to do, and really look at the big picture, and just realize, if I continue to play the victim, it's not going to lead me anywhere. I had to take control, and I had to change. Yes, and accept that, things are going to be difficult. I'm going to be judged. There are going to be obstacles, but I shouldn't focus on that. I should focus on all the opportunities that I have. Even if it's just one opportunity, just cling to that opportunity and then go for it. And that's when, things started to shift. I basically, look at things differently. For example, a shift that I made in my mind is that, okay, what is being a Black woman in a all Caucasian, dominated industry can offer me? And what I realized is that, what, Mirelle, if you work on some of the projects, you fight to work on some of the project, and you deliver positive results, people are going to remember you, even if it's just average result. But because you have the visibility, and because of your color, they will be, oh, okay, we had this result because of this Black lady. They're not even going to remember your name. So use that, use that to your advantage instead
you
of,
create the value. When you create the value, it doesn't matter where you came from, how old you are, what education level you're at, what color your skin is, right?
Yeah. So the focus was really create value, and things are just gonna, go, because as soon as you create value, you actually creating something for them, because in a way it's a win-win situation. That's so right. If you create value, they know that you create value. You will never get disqualified. So don't disqualify yourself. Just keep going.
Exactly. Let me ask you this. What was your degree in?
So my degree was actually in information technology. So I had a bachelor. So in English, in the US, it's a information technology,
Yes.
bachelor. But more toward, software engineering, engineering software for the production industry. So that was not off completely, but that was more the, the IT side of, operation and stuff like that. So there was a shift as well to be done for me. So because the role that I took was more operational. So I had to also shift into looking at things in a more practical way instead of just looking at, the back side of it and then implementing what, what people needed. So that was also a good shift. So a lot of shift, but I
was
think
just going to say, that's exactly what I was going to say. In the last 25 years, you have probably seen a lot of changes, and you personally have probably done a lot of shifting and tweaking throughout that time. And let's talk about the STEM queens. So why did you create the STEM queens?
So the STEM queens, I created the STEM queens were more because what I realized, working in this industry, I realized we need more the feminine side of leadership to balance a lot of things. And women, when they really stay, they look at their asset in terms of how they lead, the resilience, the compassionate type of thing, but also the collaboration, which is a strong one right now. They come on top. And I don't think a lot of women realize that, because when they go into those industries, they want to emulate, the boys. They want to really toughen up and, all kind of thing. And that's something I've never actually had to do. I just stayed very feminine, because a lot of the girls, were like toughen up, cutting hair and not, really starting to look really tough. No, I was always very, trying to be as pretty as I could, as feminine as I could, and still, being strong in delivering result. And that's why I said, somebody has to do something. I have to start somewhere to really, connect, the girls straight away, and so that they understand that, going in those industries doesn't mean they have to change. If they're very feminine and anything, they don't have to change their style. It's just an added value.
Right?
They can stay,
as
exactly
authentic as possible.
They can stay authentic as possible. They don't have to, to be as tough as, and what the guys require. They can still use, their authenticity and enjoy the process. So that's really about, preparing them to have the right mindset when it comes down to looking at, industry where we see more male than women, and really make sure that they don't disqualify themselves because they think of those stereotypes not fitting, the person that they are. And yet, they can bring this diversity and use it, to their advantage, to change things in a way, because this industry needs change, because it's so conservative. It needs, some diversity, either of ideas or, or gender, whatever it's possible to make it a little bit more flexible and accessible to every, everyone, and
Absolutely.
any people coming from different community.
So STEM Queens is a global organization, correct? And how are you infiltrating? How are you connecting and with the young girls for the STEM program?
So what we're doing, so I'll take the case of Uganda and Australia, because those are our stronghold. So in Uganda, for example, we have, a group of women, most of them young, late 20s, early 30s, who are actually running programs. So it's have an outreach program. So they go to schools or region where they don't have access to a lot of information about STEM. So it can be half a day, outreach, or or just a one-day outreach, and they talk to they talk about themselves, their challenges, the opportunity that exists, just to create this awareness. And they also, what the women are also doing is try to identify, especially for girls or women who have who don't have the means to continue, but they're willing to be in STEM but they can't continue. Identify them and get them the opportunity to get sponsorship. So we look into, because I have a very large network, look into my network and say, okay, I have identified so many girls, they have a potential. Can you help sponsor, those girls so they can go to university, either, the best university in their country or one of the university in the US or here in Australia or in Europe, so that they can have the proper education. And then in return, they have to go back and do the same thing for, a girl or a woman, so that they can also empower them. And then it becomes, something that is, recurrent instead of just static. So that's how, so it's reaching out to personal network to connect them with, the brightest or the one that we see have, potential, and also doing outreach, educating, and sharing experience, because as role models are really important,
Oh, yeah.
especially in industry where we don't see a lot of women. So I ask the women who are working in STEM Queen to stand as role models, share their experience, and so that they can settle this fear that some of the girls or the women have, so that they understand, if she can do it, we can do it. So it's really saying, I've done it, you can do it. Don't be afraid. Yes, there are roadblocks, there are problems, but don't be afraid. Just go and try and join us, So
And
that's
remember not to disqualify ourselves, right?
remember not to disqualify yourself. Try it out.
Just
Just do
go
it,
for it.
Just
I
go
love it.
for it. Just do it.
Mirelle, if somebody in another country that you're not actively in with the STEM Queens right now, how does somebody get in touch with you, or at least get involved with STEM Queens so they can bring it to their area?
So the first thing will be to connect with one of us. So that would be, they can connect with me, and we can go in detail through, first letting them see what we've done and where we are, and then, see, where they want to help us, have an impact. So they can reach out to me. I'm all over the place on social media, but my
We'll have
email.
your link. Your link is there, so they can see it. Yeah.
So they can just reach out to me, and we can have like a call where I explain to them, and they can ask me questions before they get, involved. And then the process is just, they just register, and then we'll have them as a chapter or as a, an entity that's linked to STEM Queens, because it's registered here in Australia. So
okay. And is there an age group that that they have to qualify in an age group?
No, because so what we're trying to do as STEM Queens, so we've decided for the first step to, for example, in Uganda, we just focus on, women who are finishing, who are who are about to start university, up to, young women who are going to have startups and want to become, go in business in STEM. But it depends, in some area, at some point, we also want to reach out to younger groups, so that, we can also start to impact them, impact them early. So I've been working for STEM Queen has been collaborating right now with We Do organization. That's an organization that is international. And they have the ambassador in Uganda. And what we're trying to do is to create books that are going to be relevant to teach what STEM is, the opportunity, but do it for the younger girl, which
Younger
is
professionals.
between, yes, so 6 to 15. So
Oh, wow.
have different series so that they can be very familiar. So the first step is to do it in a club type for them.
Okay.
But then what we really want is start to have those books and those training to be part of the curriculum in the different schools. So that's what we're doing with that organization as a partnership right now.
That is
so those are the kind of things that we're looking for. So we're really looking at covering the full spectrum from the very young age to the entrepreneurs as well. For example, here in Australia, we focus more on entrepreneurs. So we've been we're trying to get a partnership with the indigenous women in mining to really, go into the indigenous, help the indigenous woman to get into entrepreneurship. There are a lot of them working in mining in the resource sector, but they don't really progress. So what we're trying to see is that, okay, if you really want to, have a business and really become businesswoman in those industry, we can help, we can, connect you and work together, give you the trainings and either leadership training or technical training to get you there so that you get a better participation and not get stuck just at the low level. So that's something that we're focusing on right now. So it's different from one country to another. Yeah.
You are doing such great work, and I really am so honored to have you all the way from Australia here today. And what you're doing is fantastic. And there's probably just a small percentage of women that are involved in the STEM area. And I love the whole, let's not disqualify ourselves, right? It can branch out to every industry for every woman, and thank you so much. If you have one little nugget of advice for that young entrepreneur or the young female who might be in high school or something right now, what would you say to them besides not disqualify themselves? Is there anything?
So what I would say to them is that, STEM is here and it's here to stay. STEM as, ramification into everything we do in our lives. So they have to get, familiar with STEM and understand what are the opportunities for them going forward, because otherwise they will be left behind and they will basically, not going to be able to catch up. So don't leave anything on the table. Get to, to know what STEM is all about, get to know what are the opportunity and just accept STEM. There's nothing, nothing complicated, just as everything. There are challenges, there are opportunity, but we are already in this fourth industrial revolution. So if you want to be part of the revolution, get going and really, accept that STEM is going to be part of your life. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Mirelle. Thank you, viewers, for joining us today. Women have needs too. Right now, I need to not disqualify myself. Thank you, Mirelle Toulekima, and I appreciate you being here. STEM Queens, check it out. If you're interested in getting it in your area and getting involved with STEM Queens on a global way, contact Mirelle and stay inspired and stay empowered. Let's not disqualify ourselves. Have a great day.
Thank you.